In the 16th century, a showdown of epic proportions was brewing. We're talking about a conflict defined by faith, by territory, and, let's be honest, by the colossal egos of two larger-than-life rulers. This is the incredible story of the Ottomans versus the Safavids.
But here's the thing. This wasn't just a war fought on some dusty battlefield. Nope, it started as a blistering war of words. It was a prelude to the real fight, where diplomacy completely broke down and insults flew back and forth between two men who each believed he was the rightful leader of the entire Muslim world.
All right, so let's set the stage. By the early 1500s, you've got the Ottoman Empire, which had locked down its power in Anatolia and the Balkans. But right on its eastern border, a new dynamic power was rising up in Persia, the Safavid Empire. You can just see it on the map. Their territories were pushing right up against each other. A clash was pretty much inevitable. To really understand this conflict, we need to look beyond the maps. We've got to get into the hearts of these empires and, more importantly, into the minds of the men who led them. Because this was never just about land. It was deeply personal and deeply ideological.
Okay, so at the absolute core of their rivalry was this massive religious divide. The Ottomans saw themselves as the defenders of Sunni Islam, which was, and is, the majority branch of the faith. But the Safavids? They championed Shia Islam, and this was a direct challenge to the Ottoman Sultan's authority over the entire Muslim world. This split basically put them on a collision course that they couldn't avoid.
And leading these two empires were two absolutely formidable men. On the Ottoman side, you have Sultan Selim I. He earned his nickname, the Grim. He was a brilliant military commander, but he was also brutal and fiercely ambitious. His rival, Shah Ismail I of the Safavids, was this magnetic, almost poetic figure. His fanatically loyal followers, the Qizilbash, literally believed he was semi-divine, like a manifestation of God's will right here on Earth.
And Selim the Grim?
Yeah, he really lived up to that name. Before he even marched his army towards Persia, he took this terrifyingly decisive step to secure his home front. He ordered a massive purge of anyone he suspected of being a Safavid sympathizer inside Ottoman territory. The result? A massacre of some 40,000 people. I mean, that act alone tells you just how seriously he took this threat.
So believe it or not, before a single sword was drawn, this battle began with ink and parchment. And this was not your polite diplomatic back and forth. No way. This was a high-stakes 16th century insult exchange where every single word was crafted to provoke and to intimidate.
Selim fired the first shot, and his letter was just dripping with contempt. He straight up accused Ismail of heresy, of leading his people astray. This wasn't just a threat. It was a formal declaration of holy war, promising the complete and utter annihilation of Ismail and every single one of his followers.
Shah Ismail's reply? Oh, it is a masterclass in aristocratic disdain. Instead of firing back with the same fury, he takes this casual, almost mocking tone. He's basically saying, hey, your angry letters are pretty entertaining, but honestly, I have no idea why you're so upset. I thought we were friends. You can just tell it was designed to make Selim's blood boil.
And then came the ultimate insult. Ismail implies that Selim's crazy, aggressive letter could only have been written by scribes who are high on opium. And then, to really twist the knife, he sends a messenger with this lavish golden box filled with a special preparation of opium for Selim's writers. This was so personal, so provocative. War was now absolutely unavoidable.
You can just imagine Selim's reaction. He was enraged. He sends one last message, and this time, he drops all pretense of religion and goes straight for Ismail's honor, his masculinity. He challenges him to face him in battle, or else admit he's a coward and wear a woman's bonnet. I mean, the gauntlet had been thrown down.
And that was it. The war of words was over. Goaded into action, Shah Ismail accepted the challenge, and the two armies finally met for a decisive winner-take-all clash on the plains of Chaldiran.
So after months of marching and maneuvering, the two armies finally squared off. The date was set, August 23, 1514. This single day was about to change the political and religious map of the Middle East for centuries.
Now, when these two armies met at Chaldiran, you could see a crucial mismatch right away. The Ottomans, they brought a massive, modern force of about 100,000 troops, and this included their elite Janissary infantry, a professional standing army, armed with muskets and backed up by hundreds of cannons. The Safavids, on the other hand, they were fierce, for sure, but they had a smaller force of about 40,000 traditional cavalrymen, with basically zero gunpowder weapons.
The battle itself was a brutal lesson in the power of modern military tech. The fanatically brave Safavid cavalry charged forward, expecting to just sweep the field like they always did. But instead, they ran straight into a wall of Ottoman cannon and musket fire. The result was an absolute slaughter. The Safavid army was shattered, and Selim claimed a massive, decisive victory.
Even though the battle itself was pretty short, its consequences created a completely new political and religious reality in the region, one that, resonates even today.
So the aftermath of Chaldiran was immense. The Ottomans annexed huge chunks of territory, including eastern Anatolia. But for Shah Ismail, the damage was so much bigger than just losing land. The myth of his divine invincibility, the very foundation of his power, was completely shattered. And this battle, it hardened the border between the two empires, creating a political frontier that perfectly mirrored that Sunni-Shia religious divide.
And the personal cost for Shah Ismail was just devastating. His army was destroyed, his camp was overrun, and some of his wives were actually captured by Selim's forces. Humiliated and completely broken, the once unstoppable Shah just retreated from public life. He never led an army into battle ever again.
This quote from a contemporary observer, it just powerfully captures the psychological toll of that defeat. The cheerful, charismatic leader who inspired godlike devotion in his followers was just gone, replaced by a man who was reportedly never seen to smile again for the rest of his life.
And this leaves us with one final big thought. The Battle of Chaldiran wasn't just some isolated event from long ago. It solidified a political and sectarian fault line that has, in many ways, defined the Middle East for 500 years. It really makes you wonder, how much of the modern landscape we see today was actually forged in the fire of this epic, intensely personal rivalry?